My name is Renan Malafaya, and this is my Pathfinder for my Theological Research in Digital Literacy class for Dr. Wong Singh and Moody Bible Institute. The research question for my Pathfinder is, how is John MacArthur's preaching on obedience to God similar to Jesus' preaching on obedience to God? My mission statement is, guide American Church towards greater obedience to God. The question I have for my audience is, which gospel should I focus on when comparing John MacArthur's preaching to Jesus' preaching? My research question and mission statement connect because in order for me to properly guide the American church towards greater obedience to God, I need to compile greater wisdom on how obedience to God is properly taught. They also connect because I am advocating for my audience to listen to John MacArthur's sermons on obedience to God. My truth claim is that American Christians should listen to John MacArthur's sermons on obedience to God because I believe he preaches similarly to Christ. Both of them preach about the importance of obeying God as well as centering their messages around the gospel. The reason my research question is important is because John MacArthur is a well-known pastor in the United States. I want American Christians to know they can trust in his teachings on obedience. It is also important because obedience to God is imperative. We live in a society today where too many Christians are compromising and missing out on the great things God has in store for them. Again, the question I have for my audience is, which gospel should I focus on as I find more answers to my research question? The next step in my research is to listen to more sermons by John MacArthur on obedience, as well as continue to study how it was that Jesus preached obedience. I also plan on seeking experts in the field of preaching in order to enhance my research question, as well as understand what angles I should take in doing my research. Based on the feedback from my professor, I need to narrow my research to one particular aspect of obedience and not be so broad. I also learned from my professor that I should focus on one gospel when comparing John MacArthur's sermons to Jesus' sermons as opposed to focusing on all four Gospels. Before taking my Intro to Theological Research class, I would do my research by simply listening to sermons by John MacArthur as well as study Jesus' sermons on obedience. I would not seek scholarly articles and resources, and I would also do my research individually. After taking this class, the major methodology lesson I have learned is the importance of both seeking the experts of a particular field as well as research in community. Throughout my resources, I have found that obedience to God begins and ends with the gospel. As long as we are focused on the gospel, we can have confidence that we will obey God. But as soon as we start trusting in our own flesh, that is when it all falls apart. And you can see how this is depicted in the pie chart I'm showing you right now. The gospel leads to obedience, whereas the flesh leads away from the gospel and away from obedience. In doing my research, I also found the importance of researching in community as opposed to researching alone. God has created us to research, to live in community, and not to be alone. And I found that it was very important and very helpful to research with fellow classmates, to seek experts by doing my research with others as opposed to doing it on my own. I hope you enjoyed hearing about my Pathfinder and are interested in learning more about my particular research regarding obedience to God. God bless.